All right, fifth grade, we are continuing along here in chapter 5, and we are continuing along with this idea of division. Whenever you see this word, quotient, find the quotient. That means essentially we are dividing. The quotient is the answer to a division problem. Now, just like we had a zeros trick for multiplication back in chapter 4, or chapter 5, I guess that was, we have a zeros trick for division here in chapter 6. So essentially here, when I have 3,600 divided by 6, I'm going to think of this as 36 divided by 6. Well, I know that 36 divided by 6 is 6. And then the process that actually takes place is a canceling out of zeros, where every zero I cross out here, I have to cross out a zero here. And since there's no zeros here to cross out, I end up with 2 zeros that are left over. Those 2 zeros that are left over have to become part of my answer, or my quotient. Final answer, 600. 48,000 divided by 8. So I'm going to think 48 divided by 8. Well, I know that 48 divided by 8 is 6. So I'm going to write that 6 down. Now I do have a 0 here in my divisor, so I'm going to cross it off. And since I cross off 1 0 here, I cross off 1 0 here. There's no zeros left here. I see that there's 2 zeros there. Those 2 zeros become part of my answer. My answer, ironically, again, is 600. Same sort of problem, it just is going to look a little different. 1,000 divided by 200. So I can think of this and I can rewrite it as simply 1,000 divided by 200. Now this might be mental math for you. If you need to write it down so you can see it that way, that's fine. Now there's a reason why I purposely put this problem on the video, and that's simply because you end up 1 divided by 2. Well, up until this point in 5th grade, we're not really doing that, and that's going to hold true for today. So I don't think about 1, I'm actually going to think about 10. And that 0 for the 10 is not going to count toward my zeros for the zeros trick. Okay? Because my base number here that I'm using is 10. So I'm thinking 10 divided by 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. I see over here that I have 2 zeros to cross off, which means that I have 2 zeros to cross off there. There's no zeros left. You might say, well, what about that 0? Remember, that 0 is part of the 10, so it is not considered as one of the zeros for the zeros trick. My final answer is 5. 4,000 divided by 40. Well, the first thing I'm going to think about is 4 divided by 4. Well, 4 divided by 4 is 1. I see that I have 1 0 here to cross off, so I have 1 0 there that I need to cross off. That leaves me with 2 zeros left. I end up with 100 as a final answer. Last one here in this section, 24,000 divided by 60 is blank. Well, once again, I can just rewrite this as 24,000 divided by 60. And I'm going to think 24 divided by 6. Well, 24 divided by 6 is 4. And I see that there's 1 0 here that I can cross off. So since I cross off 1 0 here, I'm going to cross off 1 0 there. And then I see that I have 2 zeros left. And I'm going to insert them into my answer. My final answer is going to be 400 to fill in the blank. All right, a couple more sections to talk about here. This first one is to find the missing number. Well, this is a brief tutorial, an early tutorial on division equations where you're going to try to find the missing number, and this is kind of a variable. Something divided by 50 equals 60. Well, in a division equation, when it's the first number you don't know, you simply multiply those two numbers. So this brings in a skill that you learned back in chapter 5. It's essentially going to become 60 times 50. Well, I know that 6 times 5, and if I want to go ahead and write 50 times 60, I can. But I know that 5 times 6 is 30, and then I have 1 0 here I need to add, 1 0 here I need to add. That's 2 zeros. So I end up with 3,000 divided by 50 equals 60. This one is essentially going to be the same thing. Blank divided by 800 equals 8. I'm going to multiply these two numbers together to find the first number. That's the rule you use when it's the first blank that's empty. So it's going to be 8 times 8. Well, I know that 8 times 8 is 64. And then there's 2 zeros there. I need to add them into my answer, 6,400. Now we do something a little bit differently when it's this second blank that's empty. When the first blank was empty, we multiplied these two numbers to find this number. When this blank is empty, we just do a division problem, and it becomes 8,100 divided by 90. Well, 8,100 divided by 90, the first thing I'm going to think is 81 divided by 9. 81 divided by 9 is 9. And then 1 0 to cross off there, 1 0 to cross off there. I have an extra 0 that has to become part of my answer. I put in 90. So that's just what we did in the first part. Same thing here, 63,000 divided by blank is 700. I have to do a division problem with these two numbers. 63,000 divided by 700. Well, 63 divided by 7 is 9. And I have 1 0 there that I can cross off. Actually, we should probably cross those off first. 2 zeros here that I can cross off. So I'm going to cross off 1, 2 zeros here from that side, from my dividend. There's 1 0 left. It needs to become part of my answer. My final answer is 90. All right. Last part, compare using greater than, less than, or equal to. So it's the same sort of thing. Okay? But now we're incorporating comparisons of greater than, less than, or equal to. When I look at this first one, 35 tens divided by 7 tens equals 25 divided by 5. Well, I know that 25 divided by 5 is 5, so I can kind of do that real quick. 35 tens divided by 7 tens. Well, 35 tens is the same as 35 times 10. I can just use my zeros trick for multiplication. 35 times 1 is 35. Add the 0, I get 350. We're dividing that by 7 tens, which is the same thing as 7 times 10. 7 times 1 is 7. Add the 0, bring it down. I get 350 divided by 70. Well, 35 divided by 7 is equal to 5. I cross 1 0 off here. I cross this 0 off here. There's no zeros left. My final answer is 5. This final answer was 5. So that tells me that's an equal. Well, here's one where the division problem is written out for you, okay? So I've got 42,000 divided by 70 and 210 divided by 3. Well, 42 divided by 7 is 6. I cross off 1 0 here. So I can cross off 1 0 there. There's 2 zeros left. I get 600. I come over here, 210 divided by 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. There's no zeros here to cross off, so this one here needs to become part of my answer. I get 70. Well, I know that 600 is greater than 70. So my open mouth is going to be to the bigger number, 600. All right, last one. 3,600 divided by 60. 36 divided by 6 is 6. There's 1 0 here to cross off, which means I need to cross off 1 there. There's 1 0 left that has to become part of my answer. I get 60. I come over here, 42 divided by 7. 42 divided by 7 is 6. I'm comparing 60 and 6. Well, sure enough, 60 is bigger. In this section, you'll also get some, and I just want to point it out, that might say like 32 hundredths. I'm not going to do a full problem, but I just want to point it out. 32 hundredths. Just like when it said 7 tens, we did 7 times 10. 35 tens, we did 35 times 10. 32 hundredths, it's going to become 32 times 100. You're going to think 32 times 1. Well, that's 32. You're going to add those 2 zeros. You're going to get 3,200. All right, so that's continuing along with division 5th grade. We'll talk to you later. Bye.